So, I have pretty seriously messed up my right shoulder. In this video, I'm going to show you exactly what's wrong with it. I'm thinking that this might be useful and or interesting for people like myself who are older, like to work out, and are possibly at risk for having shoulder problems. Hopefully, taking a close look at a real-world example of what can go wrong will be instructive. Welcome to Calisthenics Through the Ages. Thanks for tuning in. I'm Rob Peterson. Just a quick recap. I hurt my shoulder last February while doing planche training. After that, I stopped doing planche work and other straight arm work, and I've changed my workout around several times to try to rehabilitate my shoulder, but so far nothing has really worked. I still have a lot of pain. My shoulder is unstable. It feels like it pops in and out a little, which is scary, and I can't really sleep on my right side. I finally saw a doctor a few weeks ago, and then I saw a specialist in orthopedics and sports medicine, and I got x-rays and an MRI. Okay, first we'll take a look at the x-ray. I was relieved to see that the x-rays looked surprisingly good for someone with as much mileage on the shoulders as I have. From the results, alignment is normal. The glenohumeral joint is normal. The acromiohumeral interval is normal. That part is really great news. The glenohumeral joint is the main shoulder joint, the ball and socket joint. My biggest fear was that I had arthritis in that joint because my understanding is that arthritis doesn't really heal, and so if you have it, you're kind of stuck with it. But fortunately, I don't have any arthritis there. The bones look basically perfect. Now, the bad news. Again, from the results, there are minimal degenerative changes of the AC joint. That's the other shoulder joint, the one that doesn't move very much. You can see it here. The whitish stuff at the end of the acromion indicates arthritis, but it's very mild. I've had mild aching pain in that AC joint for decades. That's probably the arthritis, and I assume that's permanent. That's okay, I can live with it. It's not so bad. But now, the more bad news. There is mild spur formation on the greater tuberosity. That's this dealie right here, and that could indicate rotator cuff disease. Now, I just want to make clear, I'm not a doctor. I don't really know what I'm looking at here. I'm just showing a couple of pictures and telling you what the official report says. However, in my opinion, and I could be wrong, somebody out there please let me know if this is not correct, but in my humble, non-medical opinion, this right here is one fine-looking shoulder. I should have just left it at that. I should have stopped with the x-ray, but after the x-ray, the doctor examined me. You know, they put you in different positions, and they push this way, and they push that way. My strength and flexibility were basically okay, but pushing in certain directions hurt, especially internal rotation. When she put my arm in this position and put force on it this way, it was like, ah! So she concluded that I had some impingement, and that, combined with the examination, suggested something bad was going on with my rotator cuff. Tendinopathy, maybe a partial tear of one of the rotator cuff tendons, probably the supraspinatus tendon. And she wanted an MRI to see what was going on in there. And one positive thing that's come from all this, I'm finally learning about anatomy. Until recently, I only had the vaguest idea about how the shoulder works. Now I could practically build a model of the shoulder. All of that stuff the doctor said I had pretty much figured out myself. I said in my last video that I suspected the problem was in my rotator cuff, probably the supraspinatus tendon. So I got the MRI, and unfortunately my fears were confirmed. I'm just going to scroll through the various scans and read the results. I don't want to try to point things out in the MRI scans because I don't really know what I'm looking at. My understanding is that the T1 weighted images show fat. That is, fat shows up as white in the images, and the T2 weighted images show water and fat. Generally, areas that have damage will be very white in the T2 images and darker than normal in the T1 images. Here's a quick look at slices from the sagittal oblique MRI scans. I put the T1 and T2 experiments next to each other so you can compare them. And here's a summary of the results. There is severe generalized rotator cuff tendinopathy. There are partial tears of the supraspinatus tendon in two places, the anterior footprint and the distal fibers. The anterior footprint tear could be a full thickness tear, but they can't tell from the scans. The tear in the distal fibers involves about 50% of the tendon thickness. So that's the main bad news. Severe tendinopathy in the whole rotator cuff just means general damage and inflammation. That's not so bad, but a possible full thickness tear sounds pretty scary. And my doctor said this stuff has definitely been going on for a long time, and I have had consistent pain in my shoulders for the last 5 or 6 years. Here's some more stuff from the results. There's some stuff about the AC joint, but it's pretty minor. But there's one more thing that seems scary to me. It says degenerative tearing involving the superior labrum. The labrum is this structure here. It's attached around the rim of the glenoid cavity, which is the socket of the ball and socket joint of the shoulder. A certain type of tear here is called a slap tear, and those don't heal on their own. They require surgery. Optimistically, the damage that I have is capable of being healed with exercise or with physical therapy. But I want to point out a very interesting thing. At the moment that I first had acute pain in my shoulder, I was doing intense planche training. This was back in February. I was doing this. I was pushing it way too hard, and I don't think my form was very good. That's definitely what caused it, or at least that was the straw that broke the camel's back. Now the planche heavily involves the biceps. Why? Well, imagine this is a planche. When you're in this position and your entire body weight is on your hands, there's a tremendous amount of force pushing downward on your arms. That force is attempting to bend your elbows in the bad direction. And the only thing that prevents that from happening is your biceps, and maybe your brachialis. Your biceps have to contract like crazy to prevent your elbows from hyperextending. That's the reason why gymnasts have such disproportionately large biceps. Otherwise, their elbows would break from all the straight arm levering movements. And why is that relevant? Well, check out where the long head of the biceps tendon attaches. It goes over the humeral head and attaches to the glenoid at the superior labrum. That's right where a slap tear occurs, and it's where I have degenerative tearing. I also have tendinopathy of the biceps tendon. I think that I already had pretty extensive tendinopathy and other damage in there, but I'll bet that the day that I heard it, I suddenly strained the long head of my right biceps tendon and the superior labrum. I suppose that the exact sequence of events isn't all that important, but at the very least, my experience argues that it's probably not a good idea to do intense planche training when your rotator cuff is compromised. The good news is that according to my doctor, as well as lots of information that I found online, the type of damage that I have is healable, in principle, without surgery. I've already changed my workout quite a bit. I've removed everything that was obviously hurting my shoulder. I think I'm not currently making it worse, but it's hard to tell. Anyway, it's definitely not getting better. So the next step is physical therapy. I'm trying to make an appointment right now. I'm trying hard to get someone who specializes in sports medicine and is familiar with gymnasts. I'm going to take the physical therapy real serious. I'm going to religiously do whatever they tell me to do. My goal now is to do whatever it takes to get back on track. So how did I acquire all of this damage? Well, I have reason to think that most of it is a long-term issue. I think I've damaged my shoulders continuously over many years. In the next video, I'm going to try to explain exactly what I think I've done to cause it. For now, suffice it to say that I don't think it's only because of working out while being old. I think it's a combination of being older and not doing things in the best way. But I'm going to wrap it up here because I think this video is long enough already. Incidentally, you might think that at this point my dreams of the planche would be over. And if I had more sense, that would probably be the case. But no. The dream lives on. The planche will be mine. Thanks for watching. I hope you liked the video. Please leave a comment if you have any thoughts or any advice for me. I'd love to hear about your experiences along these lines, especially if it's a success story. Hit the like button if you enjoyed the video, and subscribe for more content like this.